Hi, everyone. This is Brian Lazar. I'm the Deputy Director of the Colorado Avalanche Information Center, and welcome to your first weekly outlook of the 2021-22 Avalanche season. As we kind of go into the weekend here, you can see on our homepage map is where you can get the overall lay of the land for the state of Colorado. Those colors represent the danger level that we're sitting at right now. And you can scroll over any one of these polygons, which we call forecast zones, and you'll get the name of the forecast zone. And then you'll get the avalanche danger rating, the icon, the signal word, and the number, along with some travel advice that comes directly out of the North American Avalanche Danger Scale. You can see that we have areas of moderate danger, which are indicated by the yellow polygons covering the northern part of the state. And the rest of the state is low danger or green. So that's level 1 of 5 and level 2 of 5. And that's what that number indicates. If you click on any one of these zones, and we'll look at the front range here, you'll get more detailed information. So here you'll dive in and you will get an avalanche danger rating for each elevation band, which is above tree line, near tree line, and below tree line. And you will get that avalanche danger rating for today and tomorrow. And then we'll give you a short summary of current conditions, which talks about the kinds of avalanches you're likely to trigger, where the most problematic slopes exist, and some options for safer travel terrain. And so here you can see below that, we tell you the kind of avalanche you're likely to trigger if you go out into the backcountry, where you're most likely to find it. This is an avalanche problem distribution rose. And then the likelihood of triggering it, and if you do, the size. And so that's where we're sitting at right now. So you can see here, today's forecast is for Thursday, November 18th. As we head into the 19th and the weekend of the 20th, things are unlikely to change all that much because we don't expect any new snow until the 23rd or 24th of November. And so what we're dealing with is very much the same problem across the state, but the situation's a little bit more exacerbated, a little bit more dangerous in the northern mountains. So essentially throughout the early season so far, the northern mountains have just got a little bit more snow, a little bit more wind, and so the snowpack is a little bit more continuous. And then there's a gradient, a little bit less snow in the central mountains, and then the southern mountains are really lagging behind, and there's not enough snow on the ground to pose any kind of real avalanche concern. But where you do find continuous snow cover over the terrain, it's these aspects here. So it's slopes that face north, northeast, and east, and these near tree line and above tree line elevation bands. And this is where you're most likely to get into trouble. These are the slopes that have continuous stiff slabs from wind drifting over weak snow that developed from our first snowfalls in October. And so the problem in these early season conditions is the slopes that are most attractive for recreating on or sliding or riding on because they have the best coverage are also the most dangerous. So what you really want to look for right now is avoiding slopes steeper than about 30 or 35 degrees that have these stiff wind drifted slabs sitting below weak layers. If you see shooting cracks in the snow or hear audible whooping sounds, these are clear signs of a dangerous snowpack. And you can always find safer riding options on lower elevation slopes, more wind sheltered slopes without that stiff slab, or slopes less than about 30 degrees in steepness. We don't expect much of a way in the change until we get a return of some snowfall on the 23rd and 4th, and that could lead to an uptick in danger, particularly in those central and southern zones, which are just waiting for more snowfall. So we're at a near tree line slope, 11,800 feet on a northeast facing slope. We've got about 60 centimeter snowpack here in a relatively well protected area. We do have two layers of buried facets that we're curious about. One is a layer of near surface facets about 20 centimeters down underneath the most recent storm snow. And we have some slightly larger but rounding facets which make up about the bottom 20 centimeters of the snowpack. So let's see what we get here.
Collapse. One before it.
Whole block?
Yeah.
So you can see we got a failure on the first layer of near surface facets, but the slab above it broke and did not communicate the failure across the column. Looks like we did get a failure at the top of the basal facets, which are notably not depth work, and showing some signs of strengthening. And you can see it took fairly heavy force to get that thing to break. But we'll see if it came. Yeah. So it did break across the whole column. So if you find one of these wind drifted pockets with a stiff enough wind drifted slab to communicate the failure, you're looking at an avalanche around 1.5 feet thick. which in the wrong piece of terrain could certainly ruin your day, or worse. This interface is probably going to be a problem for us for a little while just because of the nature of the facets. 3 millimeters in size, so although they're gaining some strength, they're not going to go away anytime soon. So our best bet for better stability is to bury this stuff as fast as we can and deep as we can. Hi, this is Jason with the Colorado Avalanche Information Center. We're out here on a northeast aspect in the southern Gore Range, kind of near I-70, and we're just looking at some slopes that we'd avoid. We found a safe place here to dig a pit, found weak snow at the ground. We saw recent avalanches in our snow pit. We got an ECT to propagate, so we don't really need much more information. We're going to avoid wind-loaded slopes like that. So to stay up to date on current conditions, make sure to check the forecast anytime you head into the backcountry. You can check those at colorado.gov/avalanche. We put out fresh avalanche forecasts and twice daily mountain weather forecasts every day until the end of May. So colorado.gov/avalanche for current conditions. And if you're planning on recreating in the backcountry, make sure you carry the appropriate rescue gear, which at minimum is a beacon, shovel, and probe, and travel with a partner that knows how to use these things. And consider really getting some avalanche education so you know how to better read the forecast and then use and practice with that rescue gear. Thanks for tuning in to the weekly update. We'll be putting these out every Thursday throughout the avalanche season. This is Brian for the CAIC. Everyone have an enjoyable weekend and a nice holiday.
Join us every morning on Mountain Mornings from 7 to 9, where we bring you the best of the mountains every morning. With insights from locals, the latest gear, activities, and weather, and unique stories from the high country.
Jess, how are you doing?
We're great, Eric. How are you?
Mountain Mornings, every morning from 7 to 9, right here on Mountain TV.